Yo, we're live. Hello, Princewill.
Hi, hi, allow me.
Uh,
How you doing?
how are you doing?
I'm awesome. I had a great day actually. I checked off
Thank you.
nearly everything on my to-do list, so I feel pretty good
Yeah,
about
thank you
today.
so much. Thank you so much. One, I got to know when I was new to marketing. I know you and Akuma in marketing then. So I always confuse both of you together until I was now able to pinpoint. Okay, this is
Don't
the
confuse also.
difference.
I'm the one that likes Trump, and he's the one that likes Kamala Harris. So I think
Uh,
that helps.
if he say he's gonna say he doesn't like Amala, he will just say
Ah,
he doesn't like both
he's gonna
sides.
deny. Don't mind him.
So, but I see him, I see Akuma as somebody like, okay, marketing person. But the way I see you, I see you as somebody I will go to if I want to learn how to make money online. You get, I don't see you as a marketing person, but you market. I might see Akuma as somebody like, okay, marketing professional, yeah, pro. But I see you as somebody that if I want to learn how to make money online, I'll come to you. If I want to learn somebody like a downlock, a grant conduct kind of person. Do you see yourself like that?
I I feel like when I'm learning, those are exactly the kind of people that I like to be inspired by, because over the last few years, I've seen two kinds of people in the internet marketing industry. Basically, I've seen those who have a lot of skills, but they do not know how to make money. While I've seen those who are not as skilled, but they are dangerously efficient at turning anything into actual cash. I mean, any single thing. They are dangerously
Mm,
efficient at turning any single thing they know into actual cash in the bank, right? While the other group of people are people that they have a lot in their head, but sadly, it doesn't exactly reflect in their bank account. So, pretty early on, I told myself I wanted to be part of people who knew how to convert likes to cash very quickly, and that's sort of like how I like to pick my mentors and people I like to get inspired by. So yeah, that definitely is there. People with
So
skills, but
it wasn't
sadly not enough monetization around
yeah,
things.
so it wasn't marketing for you. It is internet marketing.
Yes, internet marketing. Yes, because I like to believe I'm a child. I'm a child of the internet. We basically grew up, seeing everything like the earliest forms of the internet. We saw it, right? We used the dial-up modems. We used the big internet devices that they would hang at
Yes.
home. We used the we used the we used the phone booths, right? When I was little, we spent a while in Ghana. We used the phone booths to talk. So those were the earliest forms of connection. So I like to believe I'm a child of the internet. So very early on, when things like Jumia, right, stepped into our country, right, it was very exciting for me to sit down and just think, how would
Mm,
Nigerians that don't trust people, or everybody's always everybody's always very cautious about being defrauded, like 419 and all that.
mhm.
How would someone go online and go on their phone and pay thousands of naira for an item like a refrigerator and expect that it comes? And I was really curious to see how that business would play out. I think when Jumia started, I was just leaving secondary school, and here we are today, a couple of decades down the line. And by
Yes.
all standards, it's a pretty successful company, right? So
Yes.
we saw that happen. It was the first breath of fresh air when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
money exchanging hands on the internet. And we saw how it started. If you paid attention, we saw most of their failures, and we're seeing where it is now, and how a
Yes.
lot of people have created mini Jumias in their bedroom and turned it into big businesses as well. So yes, I'm a child
From
of the
this,
internet.
I'm thinking you see the internet pretty much as a place to make money, right? That's how you see it primarily.
Uh, you know, no, yes and no. Not just as a place to make money. So the answer is no. Amongst it being a good place to make money, I also see it as a very dangerous place as well. Right. So I'm not aloof to the danger. As a matter of fact, like in my own personal life, the only social media that I have that is available to the public is just Twitter. Every other single social media I have is either on private or just very dormant. I'm very sensitive about how dangerous a place the internet can be. Funny story. One day I was very curious, right? I was in a
Yeah.
bus. I was in a bus coming back from school when I was in school, and I saw this girl. She wore a shirt, right? And the shirt said the name of her father that had died or her grandfather, I can't tell. And just from the name I saw on her shirt, I went on Facebook. I found out where she lived. I found out where she went to school. I found out what church she goes to.
Mm,
And it just scared me how I didn't even search that deep to find all that information out.
mm,
And it deeply scared me at how easy most of us are to find, or just very vulnerable on the internet.
mm.
So everything I do, I just do it with that level of cautiousness that this place is like a knife. It could cut your bread for you, but it could also slit your throat. So you just have to be very careful. Yeah.
Correct, correct. I agree with that. One of the things that came to my mind when you were talking about this whole people not being able to convert their knowledge to cash
Mhm.
is the fact that what's that disconnect? What's that disconnect happening there? They have access to everything, right? What do you think people are, what mistake do you think people are making in that aspect?
I think is I would just say is that sharpness to seeing money in things, right? Some people have it, some people learn it. Why some people they are just sharp when it comes to it. They just see, they know how to just identify it and see, and in addition to that sharpness, they have the confidence as well, because it's two things. One is knowing the skills or the value or the kind of content or the things that you have and that are that are worth monetizing. And two is the confidence to actually tell people, run me my cash, right? So some people have to learn it. Why some people are just insane, they just built with that insane confidence, and they can just ask for it, right? So it's those two things: the confidence and just being able to identify things that are actually worth money. One of my mentors used to say something. He used to say, if you know something that can help the next person, right? You have a burden on you, and that burden is to share it with that person. And next person here does not refer to just one person. So if you know one
Mm,
thing that can help the next person, you have a human responsibility to share it, because sharing information is basically how the world got to where it is now. If the first person
mm,
that created had the genius idea for the first mobile phone decided to just create it as something that they would share with their family members, you know
mm,
other technologies would not have been built upon that one.
yeah,
But that created, like, the snowstorm for us to get to where we are. So, if you know something, knowledge in this particular context, you have a
yeah,
responsibility to share it with as many people. Now, some people think they're being very altruistic by just sharing it for free. But another thing is, if people don't really value, because now information is so much of it, we are overloaded, right? So now, to
yeah.
make information really valuable, to make people actually value the information that they get, right? The one thing that they have to actually put something on the line, sacrifice something, either their time or their money. If people have access to you know information without sacrificing anything, they tend to do nothing with it, right? Because
Mm,
if you pay good attention, most of the information that people pay money to access anywhere in the world today, if you pay good attention and you can search, there's somewhere on the internet where it exists for free. There's somewhere on the
yes.
internet where it exists for absolutely free. But the person who's paying for it somewhere either does not have the patience to go search for it, or does not have the patience to go collect all the bits of information everywhere, and they just want to pay for it in a way that it will just be organized, and they have someone to hold accountable for when they don't understand it. So two things: if you have information that's going to be valuable to one person in the world, you have a human responsibility to share it, and you also have a responsibility to make sure that they use it. And the only way you can ensure
Mm,
that is to make sure that they have a buy-in. It's either they're buying in with their valuable time, or they are buying in
mhm,
with valuable resource like money or something else, right? But either way, if you actually want to do them some good, you have to make sure they use that information, right? After you create it. And to get them to use it, you have to get them to actually put something down, right? It could be money, it could be their time, it could be some other form of resource, but they have to go through something that takes something away from them so they can actually value the information that they're getting and actually use it and actually try to use it to better their life in some way.
You know what you just said is very true. It's just the
Yeah.
truth. Because I've tried it in my very short marketing career. Tried to mentor people, and people will come in
Mhm.
and go. I'll just stop hearing from them. I'll just be like, "What is this?" So, what's actually I started putting in a filter. One was the time. I'm trying to.
Mhm.
One was about the time thing. I remember when somebody sent a message to me on LinkedIn that he wants me to mentor him in marketing. And I said, okay, go on YouTube, type in digital marketing and watch the first 50 videos you will see. Draft 50 questions that you want or you don't understand. Book a meeting with me and then I will explain. I've not seen him till
And they
today.
disappeared. Of course. Now you've asked them to invest something, time, and they're not going to invest it. So that means
Yes,
whatever information you gave, you would have given them. If you had given them before making them invest that time, it would have been a waste. Sadly, it would have been a waste.
total waste, total waste. And why do you think this happens to people? Because I get some things for free that I actually very like I appreciate. For example, having you talk to me on this podcast is something I appreciate because I know you'll have charged me thousands of dollars for this. It's just I know, so I appreciate it. I do mentorship sections with Princewill Pakuma, and I appreciate it. I go back to him and say, "Oh, these are the things we discussed. I've implemented this and this. This is the results. I'm going, and everything is fine." Sometimes I have session with Seun Adeola on Twitter as well, and I'll go back to him and say this. I appreciate things, not maybe because I've been able to invest in myself and understand value, and maybe that is why I do that. But majority of people, what do you think is happening? Is it a mentality problem? Is it an upbringing problem? Is it a financial problem? That's because okay, maybe they come from a background that is not well to do. What do you think is really affecting people that is not making them appreciate value, even if you are giving them for free?
Um, so so on a person by person basis, it's going to be subjective. But there are some reasons that
Okay.
you can see that are just on the surface. Sometimes the reason you want that thing is not a it's not a need that's it's a want and it's not a need, right? You don't
Mm,
want it for something that really hurts you at the moment. If you were dying of thirst and someone wanted to give you water and they made you pay for it or do something or invest your time, you would do anything to get that water because you are really thirsty, and if you don't get your hands on water, you might die, right? So if
yeah.
whatever it is people that someone is getting doesn't fulfill a dying need, right? Sadly,
Mm,
other things in their life will take their attention, and that thing will just fall down the pecking order. So, that person who's not paying attention at that time to the request that you made for them to invest their time
mm,
to get to get value from you, there's something
yes.
else that is taking their time. There's something else they're giving their undying loyalty and time and value and resources to. There's something else that's taking them. So that thing is more important. And in the way they've ranked, the things that they need, that other need comes above. So, sometimes and it might just be something flimsy. It might be love. It might be sex. It might be their need to just constantly have fun. It might be their need to just constantly be entertained, right? It might be that their need to change their financial situation. It's not that it doesn't. They don't need it that much. Maybe they're probably still under the cover of their parents, so making money or trying to be financially independent, it's not that serious right now, right? When it gets serious, trust me, the pecking order will change and that thing will come to the top. So that's it. So for everybody who behaves a certain way to certain, you know, things they get, right, and how they react to it, it's just subjective to where they are and how badly they want something. So if they want it real bad, you know, they will act like it. If they don't, they will also act like it. So the signs are always there anyway.
Yes, yes, the signs are always there for true, true. Because I remember in 2015, is it 2015? Around 2018. That was when I should have started learning digital marketing. I started in 2021. I started in 2021. Maybe after I've wasted a lot of years, which is I'm just saying that is very true. But one of the things that actually discouraged me then was I was talking to my friend and he said digital marketing is saturated. Like everybody's already doing it now. That was 20, I'm saying 2018, like around 2018. So I said, okay, I'll look for something else. So I started doing, of course, I graduated from statistics and I just started data analysis then. But it's something I don't enjoy. I later came back to market in 2019 because that's actually one thing I just felt I really like to do. What I want to ask currently, do you think an area is too saturated to make money online?
So, for me, saturation is always a good thing, but there's such a thing as trends, right? Um, some things on the internet are just fads, right? They can come and go. And if you pay attention, there's a good reason, a very logical, scientific reason why they went, right? But generally, saturation is usually a good sign, right? When you hear that something is saturated, it means that either the barrier to entry was very low, so
Mm,
that it allowed a lot of people to just go into it. Whatever it
mm,
is, whether it's digital marketing in general, whether it's starting a dropshipping business, whether it's starting a faceless YouTube channel, whether it's doing affiliate marketing in 2021, it means there was something about that particular, thing that made it easy for a lot of people to enter. Maybe the barrier to entry was very low. That's one. Secondly, it could also be that because it is insanely lucrative and a lot of people have identified it, that's why it's very saturated. Because saturation is usually a sign that this is something that is worth pursuing, right? It's usually a sign
mm,
that, but it should not be a reason why somebody who thinks they can make a huge mark in that thing should not pursue it. Because
mm,
I mean, this is this is probably 50, 60 years. This is probably 30, 20 years ago. But Google was the ninth search engine, right?
mm.
There were already eight search engines before Google built their own search engine and made it
Yes.
better. And they were number nine. And now today, nobody knows the other eight and any other one that
Mm,
comes after it, right? And just because they enter into a saturated market and made it better. And several other things that I've even tried to do. Sometimes when you try to do something, I try to do something, I'll hear it's saturated. And you go and check why it's saturated. It's probably saturated because there's a low, you know, barrier to
yeah.
entry, right? But when you
Mm,
now look a little deeper, you realize that it's not going to take much for you to outperform 90% of the people who
mm,
you're going to be competing with. Because, frankly speaking, most people today are just wuss. They are just wusses and they can't even take, the slightest form of hardship will just discourage them. The slightest form
mm,
of hindrance or obstacle will just make them, move on and just drop
give
whatever
up.
it is and go look
Mm,
for the next easiest thing. So if you're about to start something, the one thing you need to have is, a conviction, a very strong conviction that this is what you want to do. And when you meet the hardship that is in this thing, you're going to face it head on and not bring your head up for water until you solve whatever it is that's in front of you. Because that's exact, because in everything, no matter how easy it might look and how easy it seems that makes, everyone want to do it, right? There's going to be something tough about it that is going to make that made more than a big chunk of all those people not even succeed with it, right? But if you have a strong conviction, you can easily surmount the hurdle, and then you find out why it's very lonely at the top, even in that saturated thing. Even in that, someone can tell you, "Oh, digital marketing is saturated. Digital marketing is saturated." How many digital marketers are in the top 100 millionaires in this country. There's almost no one there. And you're saying saturated.
Mhm.
Are you saturated? Why don't we have billionaire digital marketers? We don't. We clearly don't. Right? We have, the equivalent of our equivalent of the Grant Cardones and the Gary V's. Their net worth are night and day. So there's
Yeah.
something that we there's still room at the top. So yeah, not saturated, not even the slightest bit.
I like the way you visualize this because I got in 2021 instead of 2018, and here I
Mhm.
am. Like, and currently, if anybody comes to me and say digital marketing, oh, come in, come in, come in, because
Exactly. If
more
you
people. As
if you
I thought about
if
it,
you not
like there's
if
more
you
internet
knuckle down
penetration
and grind, yeah,
now.
if you knuckle down and
Right.
really grind, whatever
Yes.
it is you choose to be an expert in. Let's say if you choose to be an expert content writer, you choose to be an expert, YouTube advertiser or Facebook advertiser, you choose to be an expert SEO, guru, right? If you knuckle down and grind, right, it will take you less than 2 years, and everybody that matters, in that sphere would know your
Already
name.
calling you.
Literally, they will literally know your name if you
All you need
knuckle
to do
down
is
and grind.
just become insanely good.
Yeah, they will know your name because the people who are going to need your services at the end of the day, they are always talking to other people who are looking for people that are good, right? If you become very good at Facebook advertising today, and because of how good you are, you know some things or some of the latest insights that nobody is sharing. Trust me, and you tweet about them consistently for a month. It wouldn't take. You might end up just having like 100 followers, but it's going to be 100 followers
Yes.
of people that are tight and close knit who want that information. Before you know it, you are popular in that circle of people who are looking for that information. And then when people start to ask, oh, who's the Facebook guy that I can talk to? They won't talk to 10 people before someone start calling your name. Before
Before
you know
your
it, you
name
are
is
relevant
out.
in a circle that matters. Before you know it, you keep on grinding, and anybody talks about that particular skill, people are raising their hand up and saying, oh, talk to that guy. Talk to that guy. Because now they know that, you probably know what you're talking about. And it didn't take you long to get there, right? It didn't take you as long as you thought it would, but you are there already.
What what will you say to young men? What will you say to
Mhm.
them? What will you say? I try to talk to young men every time. My podcast, I started 89% of listeners of this podcast are young men, 20 from 22 to 30. That's the age range. I always say what you need to do is find a skill you want to learn the skill, getting through that. See, stop. There are some things I'm doing right now, or there are some dreams I'm having right now. There's some ideas I'm having right now. 4 years ago, I cannot have them because I am not in that space. I cannot even dream it. I don't have the information. I don't have that kind of access. So I always tell young men that find a skill, learn it, get in, and then that will be your trajectory upward. I want to ask, Princewill, what's that one thing that you hate about young men and you see that is rampant, that you think is hindering them from growth?
So generally speaking, you know,
Mm.
I think it's just addiction. You know,
Yeah.
there's just a very general disease of addiction. I see. I see it nearly everywhere, and it's just some kind of addiction to average, right? Most people just want to get by, and it's okay. But if you aim to get by, it's a good chance you're not even going to get by. That's the thing. If get by
Addiction to
is just
average.
what you want, it's a good chance you will not even get what you want, because we never ever get what we want, right? We just get what we deserve,
Mm.
right? So if you're trying to get up to here, this
I
is what
love
you
that.
really
So we don't get
this
what
is
we
what you
want.
really yeah, if this is what you really want, chances are you might just it will keep moving and you just would never catch it. But if you
Mm.
set your sights as high as possible, right? And
Yeah.
even if you don't land there, right, where you land will still be a good place. But when your sights are kind of low, right, and you keep trying to reach out for that average, it will reflect in all the things that you do, right from how you wake up, right from when you go to bed, right
Mm.
to the the content that takes your time on your phone. It will just find its way into every single thing that you do, down to how your workspace even looks. So if you sort of do away with that addiction to average and just try to inculcate excellence into every single thing that you do, right? Right from, down to knowing that you, you should not still be in bed by 6, right? There's no good reason for you to still be in bed by 6. If you really have things to
Mm.
do in the day, there's no good reason for you to
Yes.
still be in bed by 6. There's no good reason for you to be for you to be awake by 12 midnight. Because if you go to bed late, you will wake up late, and that's just how a
Yes.
bad day starts. And having a couple of bad days, how you have a terrible week. Having a couple of terrible weeks is how you have a terrible month. And having back-to-back terrible months is how you have a terrible year. And having a terrible year is how you have a terrible life. So, when you break down how you want to really turn your life around, the thing because I have a couple of young men around me that I mentor. So the thing I try to help them see is sometimes not so much the big picture, because their eyes might not be so open to see the big picture yet. And the thing you can just help
Yes.
them do is fix the very little things, right? Even if someone is just a painter, I'm not going to try and convince them to come learn some digital skill. It's going to be a waste of their time, because it's not even
Mm.
something they're going to be interested in. So the first time they have a problem, they're going to drop it and put their hands in the air and say, nah, this is not working for me, right? But if person is a painter, you should try and be the best goddamn painter in the neighborhood, right? And then when anybody sees their work, they know that, oh, it was the guy that did this work, and I know him, and this is how he
Mm.
dresses to work, and he's good, and you see him, you can see a man who's disciplined and who's about his business, and I'm going to recommend him for other jobs. Before you know it, he's a painter that's getting all the jobs around town. Before you know it, now he has a big company that's a painting business. He has a couple of boys that are painting for him. And this is just an example from a guy who has a painting business, right? And so you see that
Mm.
excellence, once you just do away
Excellence.
with the addiction to average, it now starts to show
Average.
up in
Mm.
several things. Someone looks at you as a man, and they see your stomach, and your stomach is flat. It tells a story. It tells a story.
Mm.
It tells a
You
story that
think
you look at
so?
your plate, and yeah, it tells a story
Wow.
that you don't go around putting things that are unhealthy in your body. It tells a story that you know many times you get offered a beer, you say no, you drink water. It tells a story that very many times on your plate, you don't try to put more on your plate that you should be putting in your mouth, right? When your belly is as big as your head, people look at you and they can also see another story. You see a story of someone
Mm.
who's indisciplined, who just live make the worst choices about their body. And most time when people see like that, eh, they might respect you, but then again, they also know what your
Something in my mind.
what your downsides are. And when they see you
Mm.
and you look great, you have a great body, and they know that, okay, this person takes good care of their body. They'll probably take good care of my business, or they'll probably take good care of this
Mm.
partnership that we're having. You know, some kind of respect just comes about it. So, you know, it's in the little things, right? So
Little
when young
things.
men just live by a code of excellence in the little things, I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to try and be very active. Try to exercise, not just because I want to have a big chest and six packs so all the girls can like me, but because I actually want to live long, right? I want to be really healthy. So when my wife is pregnant and she needs my strength, I'm strong enough. So when my children need a strong daddy, I'm going to be there as a strong daddy, right? So it's in the little things, and when you just live by a code of excellence, it will show. And the thing about you know knowing what to do with your life, like, at the end of the day, is once you live by a code of excellence, it's just a
Excellence.
matter of time. Time has a very wonderful way of making things very clear. You can make a couple of mistakes along the line, right? But if you live by a code of excellence down to the littlest things, after some time, it's going to become very clear what you must do. It's going to be very clear, where you must throw all your time and devotion to. It's going to be very
To
clear what skills you should pursue. It's going to be very clear what business you should pursue. Nobody's going to sit down in front of the camera and tell you this is the skill you must do. This is no, but in you just being excellent in the little things, after some time, I wouldn't need to tell you what it is. You would know. It will be very evident in everything that you're doing, and you know where your strengths are.
mm.
You know what your weaknesses are. You know, it will
Which
just
is
become
true.
clear. And the clarity is different for different people. And clarity is like it's like it's constantly evolving, right? Last
Yeah.
year, you think that you had some clarity. You write some things down. Okay, this is my 24 months. This is my project for the next 24 months. You come back to that project after 6 months. You look at some things there, and you even laugh. Be like, so what I was thinking about 6 months ago. Nah, I should be aiming high. Nah, I should strike this off. I'm not more interested in this. Right? So the clarity is constantly evolving. But once you just live
Yeah.
by a code of excellence, it just becomes clearer every single day.
Correct. Correct. You said you actually said a lot. Addiction to average. Also, there I made a very long rant on social media about in Nigeria generally. You see it everywhere. That's average mentality. Take it like that. Manage am for me,
Yeah,
oga. Manage am now. So that manage am mentality is everywhere. And I
it's
believe people
everywhere.
can just pick anything as small as making chin chin,
Yeah.
carpentry, whatever it is, and just
I think Edith, you just reminded me of something. I think Edith F. Young wrote a very
yeah,
wonderful piece on Medium. He called it the MIL syndrome. Manage it like that syndrome. You should go check it out on Medium. Very funny and interesting piece. And he said this.
try.
This is exactly what you said. Right? They
You
manage it
you
like
see it
that
everywhere.
syndrome. Sorry?
I said you just see it everywhere in Nigeria,
Yeah.
just everywhere.
I'm
And
guilty of it
to
myself. I'm guilty of it myself. But if you stay honest to yourself, right? When you take stock of your day, take stock of your week, you can easily see those things. You see where, you can see where you did something, and you can tell
can be
yourself,
better.
nah, that's not excellence, and then you can call
This
yourself
can
out
be better.
and fix it.
And that's how you don't lose your job.
True.
That is how
True.
many people don't know that you don't lose your job by just being excellent. I tell people, yeah, your salary might be bad, yes, but you have to do some things that are just personal. If I take a
Hmm.
gig and I'm a designer, I'll deliver this work at the best of my ability. Either the person is paying $100 or $1,000, I'll do it at the best of my ability. The thing is, as you do that to yourself, you to get to a point that you will not be able to do a bad job or an average job. Personally, all of the clients I've worked for, many a time, when I was new into marketing, my salary would be 120,000 naira, 150,000 naira. But I also hard. I'll carry the business on my head. I'll try to do everything. I'll write like 8 blog posts in a day. I'll go hard to the point that when I resign, I move on. The client always be like, I'm struggling to replace you. So people need to know that living by the code of excellence is a way to to job security because you're no longer doing excellent stuff for your client. You are doing it for yourself. So your
Yourself.
clients, your bosses, your manager, they don't have to come
And
and
everybody
remind
can
you of.
see it. Yeah.
Mhm. They don't have to come
That's
and
never
remind you
excellent.
that, oh, this is the standard, though.
You won't be able to hide that you're excellent, and you don't even have to talk about it. That's the thing. Once you're excellent, it just shows. You know, people would be people will talk about it on your behalf without you ever opening your mouth to speak. People would see the excellence, and when there is a search for someone who's as excellent as you, they won't miss your name because everybody wants to associate with excellence, right? You know, right after my first job, I don't think there's ever any of the jobs I've ever had to do that I personally went up and hunted for, right? Most of the best jobs around don't get posted on job boards. The best jobs, the really cushy jobs that you want, that you get on your knees and pray for, they hardly ever get posted on job boards. But what happens when they post on job boards? They get a lot of average applications. But when people are really, they don't want to waste their time and they're really just looking to talk to like five, six people and then hire one person. They talk to people that they know to tell them about the excellent people they've ever come across. And that's what they do. And when someone comes to me and say, please, do you know any advertiser I can work with? I think about all the
It's,
excellent people I've come across, right?
mm,
Because these
yes,
conversations are being had every day. And people are constantly making referrals and establishing,
yes.
just making all those connections. And they can only remember the people who have been excellent. And if you're excellent, you will leave a mark, and people will remember. They literally have no choice.
You literally have no choice, for real, for real. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for that. I'm happy you went hard on that part because I've seen it. I've seen it for real. And I think anybody that listening to this podcast should take that. If they can take that alone and work with it. I took that in 2020, no, 2020 during COVID. That's when I met Jordan Peterson. It just changed my life. Jordan, Jordan Peterson, I started reading his books and all of these things. And that's one of the things he mentioned. Things like waking up in the morning, cleaning your room, starting from that small task, starting from there,
Exactly.
and just start. You see something is not well organized at home. I started washing plates. I was staying in my father's house that time. I started washing plates. I have sisters, I have junior ones, but I'll just go there. Why is this place dirty? I'll just wash it. So those little, like you said, those things start showing up in your everyday life. When you get into a taxi, you find ways to be like, oh, this thing is not well done. You can do it better. Let's talk about the romantic life of young men. What do you have to say? People are making a lot of mess, Princewill. People are the way young men are judging women, the way they see women is just totally different from how it should.
I've been married for 2 years now, and I'm not an expert or anything on marriage because
No,
my wife and I,
but you are solid. I see your take on relationship online. That's why I'm
my wife
asking
and I,
you. I know you're
we
solid.
like we like to see ourselves as a growing couple, right? We've had our fair share of troubles and wins and losses and everything together. But the one thing I can only speak from the perspective of a man, right?
Yeah,
So as a man, you know, your your duty or your responsibility in the world is already set. It's already set. So a woman coming into your life should want to come into your life and know that she has a man. And by that, you should try on your own to make sure that you check all the boxes that would make you have the confidence that you're capable of doing all your duties as a man. So if a woman is coming into your life, you want to be able to answer the question to yourself that am I able to take care of this woman, right? Because you should be aiming to be her leader in every sphere, right? You should be able to be her leader spiritually, right? So your own walk with God, you should also fix it. She doesn't need to come and do that for you, right? You should also be her leader physically. When you go out, you want to know how to make the right choices when you go out. So you go out, someone steps on your toe, you want to start fighting outside when you're with your wife. You've clearly made the wrong decision, right? One punch in the head and you've probably injured somebody for life, or you are the one who's injured, and then your life has taken a totally different turn. Can you defend yourself? If you have to carry your wife and run, is that something that you can do? Right? So physically, you also want to be her leader, right? So you should start to want to work on yourself to be able to check all those boxes financially, right? Are you able to take on the responsibility of starting a family, right? Do you have a plan, right? Do you have some savings? Do you have, are you economically independent right now to be able to take on the responsibility of starting a family, right? So you should plan as if the ball stops at your feet, right? Everything
yes.
everything is going to be on you. And then you should also now look for somebody who's going to complement all of that. So when you do all of this, you're going to have a certain respect for yourself because you know the amount of energy and devotion you have taken to build yourself into this. So now you have some respect for yourself, and you're not going to let anybody take that for granted. Now, once you've built yourself into this, when you look around you, you're going to rank yourself among all the men that you see around you, and you know where you stand. So you know that in the dating pool, right, on the marriage market, you know if you're a spec or not. You know if you're a catch or not. And then when women come into your life, they also know. They also know if you're worth something or if you're not. And this is not even talking about money. It's not only
Yeah.
you could be a guy. You could be a guy in a one room apartment and you're just managing your life, and a girl will stick by you because she knows where you're going and she's sold on your vision.
She can
And she's
see a
never going anywhere.
plan. She can see a
She's
vision,
never
and
going
she can
anywhere
see you are
because
actively working towards it.
exactly. Exactly. So when you have worked on yourself like this and you have all these things, you know exactly what you must do, or you're just a work in progress, right? You have some respect for yourself. Someone comes in and tries to make you become anything less than that. You know that this is not the kind of life you want to live. This is not the kind of person you should be building your life with. And the good thing is, once you're on a certain path, right, the path to becoming, you know, a, a 100% definition of a man, right? You are going to meet people on that walk with you, male and female. So there's a good chance you are going to meet someone who compliments you. Let's say you go to the gym every day and you make a friend at the gym. You're most likely going to make a friend with somebody who cares about their body as well. So that's one way, you are both going to complement each other, right? Let's say you work a job where you know there are a couple of high flyers or high performers at your job, and you make friends with someone of the other gender who's also a high performer. So now you see there's something about you two that actually makes sense for you guys to come together and sort of complement each other. Then other things can now start getting worked on. But that's just it. So if you're on that path to self discovery and you're building yourself and you're becoming better and better every day, it's surely a good chance you see people that are on the same walk with you, and something can start. But this is not a this is not a handbook for romantic you know relationships, because I'm no expert on
Honestly,
that.
you said truth. To be honest, I I see your relationship take online, and you, Pakuma, and all of those guys. I was when I was in your DM, like, I want this person on my podcast. I have an ex before I got married. I have an ex, and the ex, I was depressed for like 8 months. She was basically tossing me around, and when I discovered
You're just sad.
myself, yes, I was actually begging that take me back, please, please. A mess of a life. But everything changed when I stopped blaming her. So the idea was I was blaming her for my misfortune. Oh, you did this to me, you broke up with me, you. But my life personally changed when I started looking and saying, oh, I am not fit for a man. I am not the person she would want to date. I am not somebody she would want to introduce to her friend that is my man. I am not somebody she's looking at, oh, this person could be the father. This is the potential father to my kids. So when I started looking at it that way, just like I've said, and I said, oh, I need to go face my life. I need to build up. I need to do this. And like I've said, if you have built your life brick by brick with strength, emotions, anger, and everything, you would
Hmm.
actually not look at it and say, oh, you that is not of value, come and squander everything. You won't do that.
Exactly.
So I think one of the things I always tell people, young guys around me is when a woman turns you down, look at yourself and blame yourself instead of the other way around. I don't know if you agree to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be contextual because um, humans are humans can be bad as well. So, but if you respect yourself enough, so that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing there. If you respect yourself enough, even if you find yourself in situations or relationships with bad people, right? You'll be able to you respect yourself enough to remove yourself from that situation.
So,
Most times when some men decide to be just, to be fools, just to have the approval of a woman, right? You see that this is a man that does not respect himself. So if you respect yourself enough, if you respect all the sacrifices you have made to get to where you are, you won't allow anybody to just take it for granted or treat you like crap, right? So everything just comes down to how you see yourself. If
oh,
there's a void in your head or your mind, that you need the acceptance of another person to feel, you are always going to be
Yes.
chasing for that acceptance. You're always going to be chasing for that recognition. And anything anybody gives you will just be enough. And it'll be like you're hooked on crack and you're looking for the next hit every time. So you're constantly trying to gain the approval of somebody. Right. But when you're sort of secure, you're secure in yourself and you know who you are, and you're not needy. Because when you respect yourself, you stop being needy. You know that, oh, okay, if I want it, I can get it because this is who I am now, right? you know then things just start to fall in place. And when you get in situations where you don't feel respected, you can easily walk away. You realize that, nah, it's not that hard. I'm not heartbroken. This happened last month and I can't remember your name again, so get the fuck out, man. It's very easy,
Yeah.
I swear.
Yes. Thank you for that. I want to talk about what is happening right now. What is trending? How are people making money online? What do you
What is
think?
that?
What
Which
are the
one is trending?
areas?
Okay. Because lots of things are trending now. Like today, 30
So
days
let's say
grand challenge is trending. So which one? Lots of things are trending.
I mean, so what are the areas you think you would say generally that people should look
Okay.
at uh,
So right
to
now,
make money on the internet?
yeah. So right now, there is sort of like an explosion when it comes to, you know, where I can speak on is, digital ways of making money, right? I can't really
Yeah.
speak on any other thing, right? Those are not my forte, right? So there's literally an explosion when it comes to how people are making money online, right? There are different things are happening right now, but you just have to find the one that suits your personality, right? If you have an eye for numbers, right? You're trying to make money online, you have an eye for numbers, you combine with creativity, right? You should probably learn media buying, right? You should probably learn media buying. If you are good at media, you know, you're good at media, content creation, production, storytelling, right? You should probably be a lifestyle content creator, or own a couple of faceless YouTube channels and build like an empire of faceless YouTube channels, right? If you know, if what other horses do I know of? And if you're just starting and you know you have a couple of bucks to invest in advertising, right? You can probably get on ClickBank or Expertnet or Seller and sell someone else's product and make some money, right? If you learn media buying, these are about to mention a few, but if you pay attention, all these I just mentioned are different, different pathways when it comes to making money online that a lot of people are exploring, right? And each one is each one can be as lucrative as you can push it, right? Making up to $10,000 a month with any of the things I've mentioned is very, very feasible. In fact, very, very feasible. And I'm not just saying it because it's easy to say. I'm saying it because there are people who are doing it, right? The people who are doing it, people who have just one head on their neck, and they're doing it. But the thing that most people fail to realize is that even those that are doing it right now didn't just wake up one day and start to do it, right? Mastery has to play a part, and
Mm.
for mastery to happen, some time has to pass, right? You have to take some time to learn, to master, and when you have mastered, the rewards of mastery, of your competence, now show now comes forth, and you start making money from things that you have built without even trying so hard, like someone started yesterday. So yeah, all these things exist. Look at someone like Hella, for instance, right? I don't know how these kids do it on TikTok. I really don't know how to use that app like that. But once in a while, I have an account there. I go and check it out. But he's making a lot of money from just harnessing the currency of attention, right? He's on this
Attention.
TikTok lives and he's doing nothing. I would, I check them out and there's nothing that he's doing, right? But he's going to keep thousands of people glued to their screen. And once in a while, he's advertising something, or TikTok is paying him, X and Y amount for just holding that amount of attention. right? And he's not insanely funny, but he understands how to hold that attention. And off the cuff sometimes he's funny, but he knows how to keep those people there, glued to their phones, watching his every move every day, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And that's just talking about Pella. Or, streaming is now very lucrative. See all these guys like Kai Sinat and
Yeah. Speed
I
and
Show
co.
Speed, right? And people are creating niches around that. Some people are just streaming themselves playing video games, and people are watching and watching and watching, and they are now, there's 1,001 ways to monetize all the attention they are holding, right? They become affiliates. Brands are sponsoring them and giving them money to advertise to all the attention they are holding, right? So, if you really pay attention, you'll find one of all these digital hustles that appeals to your personality that you can easily execute on, right? But and so the idea now is, once you find one thing, it will not now make sense for you to jump here, jump here, jump here, try to do 10
Jump
things at once.
there and say you
You're
do
going to
it. It's
now
not
have
working. You run away.
you're going to have 1,001 things that you have tried, and no one is working because you didn't stay long enough in any of them. So if you pick anyone, give it the time that it needs, and give it the attention that it deserves, you get the money that can be made from it. You eventually see the reward that you deserve. There's no two ways about it.
How how is fitness impacting your life?
Hmm. So I'll say the amount of money I make every month is directly correlated to how disciplined I take my work, how disciplined I am with my workouts. I was discussing with my friend the other day, and I was telling them that everything that is going to make you money in this world is going to stress the fuck out of you. I mean, real money. Right? There's no money without stress. There's no stressless money. It's all a lie. Anything that's going to make you real money is probably going to stress you. And so that means that the more stress you can manage, the more money you can make. Right. So if you're able to handle as much stress, Nigeria might be going to shit. Nigeria might be going to shit right now. But I probably couldn't handle the amount of stress Tinubu is going through right now.
Yeah, yeah,
I probably
yeah.
couldn't,
For real.
right? He's
For
probably
real.
he's
For
probably
real.
receiving 100 situation reports on his desk. Maybe he's not reading them, but he's receiving them, right? Maybe he's not paying attention to them, and that's why we're in so much shit. But he's receiving them, right? The other day I was watching Trump, and he had to sign over 100 executive orders live, and he had to go through everything. So same thing with so many, top CEOs. The amount of stress they have to manage, they have to deal with to be in that position is what other people would run away from, and that's why they can't be on that seat. And it trickles down for every level. There's a commensurate amount of stress that you have to manage. So the more of it you can handle, you know, the world will reward you for it. And a good way to be able to handle stress is to build your tolerance by intentionally putting yourself in stressful situations. You go out in the morning
Mm,
and you get active. You try and run a 10K marathon. You put yourself under a bench press and try to lift your body weight 10 times. Those are stressful situations. And if you get used to putting yourself in those kind of situations and pushing your body, you're also going to be pushing your mental limits. So when you come into the field of battle to make money, you're now
yeah.
a person who's capable of doing
Mm,
much more, handling so much more stress. So, yes, fitness plays a huge part in how successful most people can be in anything. Because generally, you know, I was discussing with someone the other day. I was saying, when you're healthy, you have 1,000 problems. Everything is going to be a problem. How to do this, how to do that, how to. But once you're sick, you have one problem. You realize that nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. And if you also now stop to look at, working out and fitness and exercise as, because I want to look good. I want people to see my bicep and see these huge guns. I want to have six pack. If you stop looking at it that way and start looking at it as I want to live long, I want to live a quality life. I want to I want to be strong enough for my family, right? I want to be able to stand up from my chair without help when I'm 70, right? I still want to be able to kick the ball with my grandchildren. You start thinking about it that way, you probably you probably have a deeper conviction to wake up in the morning and get active, right? And I'm saying get active here because you know anything anybody can do to get active is for me in the fitness world it's welcome because you just need to get started getting active. If you have to walk 5,000 steps every morning, you should probably get your
Yeah,
steps on.
after still.
And if you must lift weights every morning, then you get your weights on as well. But anything you can do to constantly improve your fitness, right? It would improve you so much that it would show in how much money you make eventually.
So as I drawing closer to the 60 minutes mark, I want to talk. What will you say about books? What books have you read? What books will you recommend? What books have changed your life? Do you want to talk? You would like to talk about?
Oh, so one of my favorite books is The Psychology of Money. Yeah.
Psychology of
I want to
money.
talk about plenty books because I mean, if I shine the light on one, anybody watching this is probably going to pay more attention to that one. So it's the psychology of money, and that's because our society is a society that doesn't we don't like talk about money a lot, or we don't like talk about it in the right way. If we talk about it, it's mainly just to talk about materialistic shit, right? But we don't like to talk about money the right way. We don't like to talk about what money does to your mind and what it doesn't do for you, right? So, psychology of money, is a very good book because for me, when I started, making some money, the first thing I was, yeah, Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Morgan Housel. The first thing I used to be worried about is, okay, what do I do with all this money, right? Buying all the things I want, not the things I need now. Buying all the things I want is probably not the right things to do. You know, People smarter than me have answers to this. There are things they do with money when they have more than they need at the moment. So what are those things that they do? I did not know any of those things. And I probably made a lot of mistakes, in the beginning. But those kind of books will start to teach you what people who are smarter than you do with money, how they behave with money, how they spend their money, how they keep their money, right? Because we spend all this time talking about how people are making money, how to make money, all of that. But the one thing that people don't spend this much time talking about is how to actually keep the money that you make. And keeping money is not just saving it in your bank account. That's not keeping money because inflation is eating all of that away. So you're not keeping money, right? You're sharing that with the government. So that's basically another set of skills that anybody who's making some money on the internet or making money anyway, should probably try
Indeed.
to learn. Yeah, so Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel is a very good read. And it's kind of book you probably would read more than once. Myself, I've read it two times, right? And the second time I read it, I started seeing things I missed the first time or things I didn't pay attention to the first time. So, yeah, definitely Morgan Housel's Psychology of Money.
Many young men don't read. They don't read actually. One of the things you do to them and say you recommend books for them, they barely read it. Uh, and
Mm,
like you said, once you start changing your life, you start paying attention to the content you consume. Because if you are consuming all just TikTok videos and gossips here and there, and you don't consume good content like reading books, quality books, it actually show in the way you do, in the way you execute, in the ideas that will even come to your head. It influences those things too.
true.
Yes, we've come to it is 60 minutes talking to you, Prince Wu,
Already?
and number one, I've learned a lot. I've written a lot of things down. This is like a podcast I would like to personally listen to over and over again. It looks like I have a podcast online that I saved in my bookmark. It's like I listen to it like every week. It's a compilation of Jordan Peterson. And I
Okay.
think this podcast go yes, this particular session go in that direction. Things like that masculinity, getting started with your life, the code of excellence, shunning the addiction of average. Just that word is very addiction of average. Yes, a lot of us we are addicted to doing average, the bare minimum. I'm currently doing my masters, and when we talk, people's other statement like, let me just pass, is to pass, things like that. And everybody is fine with let me just pass. We see gunning for things like A as something that
Mhm.
is left for some set of people. And that mentality cripples into our life. You see people having small businesses, they make 100,000 naira, $1,000, and they will say, oh, um, people like Elon should make all of the money. I don't have to shoot for the stars and this kind of thing. So I've learned a lot from this session. Thank you so much. We've come to like the end of the show. I'm going to be asking you this or that question.
Okay.
You just pick one of it. Are you ready?
Can I curse?
All right. Facebook ads or Google ads?
Google ads. Idiots live on Facebook.
YouTube or TikTok?
YouTube, definitely. TikTok IQ is in the gutter.
Eggs or meat?
What the fuck is meat? Meat. Google meat.
No, eggs or meat,
Oh,
like protein.
sorry. Hmm. For protein, eggs are the cheapest source of protein. So yeah, probably
Eggs,
consuming
right?
eggs. So eggs, yeah.
Okay. Outdoor running or treadmill?
Outdoor. When you run outdoor, you see things. Your eyes get entertained. When on a treadmill is, I don't know. These psychopaths do that shit, man.
Books or podcasts?
Ah, I like podcasts because I can get other shit done while I'm listening to them. So I'll say podcast.
Okay. Trump or Kamala?
Trump, definitely. No brainer, man.
Ofe akwu or ofe onugbu?
Ofaku or Ofo Onubu. Ah, I'm from Imo State. Ofo Onubu. And it's another people that have Ofaku.
Okay. Okpa or moi moi?
Moi, please. But this like sorrows.
Twitter or LinkedIn?
ah, Twitter, please. What's LinkedIn? Wasn't
Twitter.
this my account on that
E-
face?
Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Elon. There's nobody
Okay.
alive today that's pushing humanity forward more than Elon Musk. I mean,
I
free speech, free speech, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink. What does my
Neuralink,
people do for anything?
boring company. I know you're an Elon man. Then lastly, Gary V or Grant Cardone.
Woo! So it's tricky because I love them both. I'll say Gary V.
Say
I'll say Gary
Gary.
V.
Gary's a social
Gary V's
media
audience,
guru, man.
Gary V's audience is super important for the world. What his content does for the younger generation, I value that more than what Grant's content does for the world. But I love Grant's content, but I think Gary V's message is more important today than Grant. So Gary V.
Correct, correct. Okay, Princewill, what will be your final message on the show to people generally?
Hmm. So you said your audience is mostly men. So if you're a
Yes,
man
young
out
men.
there, so if you're a man out there listening to this, so the one thing I would love for you to take away from this pod is, do your best to be excellent in every little thing that you do, and take feedback. You don't have to take it from anybody. You take it from yourself. So even when you've convinced yourself that you've been excellent, before you go to bed at night every day, if you can, while you're on your bed, you think about your day and think about all the things where you were less than excellent. Make promises to yourself and try to keep them. promises to be better at excellence, and your your conscience will tell you what the excellence is. From I'm not even talking about the big things right now. I'm talking about the littlest things. How you shook another man's hand. Were you sitting down, or did you stand up to shake another man's hand? Did you make your bed when you woke up? Right? Did you bother to clean your sneakers before leaving the house? Or did you go out your house with dirty shoes, right? Or wrinkled clothes, right? Or did you have more junk than you should be putting in your body? And now you're going to bed and your stomach looks like a football. That's not excellence. So if you're going to, you know, become a man that will be respected, try to be excellent in every single thing that you do. And even when you are not excellent, be honest with yourself enough to call yourself out on it, because nobody else is going to do it for you. Everybody else is worried about their own life. So be excellent, take feedback, give yourself the feedback, make promises to yourself, and do your best to keep them. And if you do that with enough time passing by, you'll find yourself in a good place. Time will make things clear for you. God will reward you. The universe will reward you. Because when you're excellent, it means you're trying hard. And when you're trying hard, God is looking at all of us and saying, see that guy, he's trying hard. Give him what he wants. He's not looking at the people in the church. He's looking at all of us in the world. We don't have to be in the church for him to look at us. So be excellent and try really hard in whatever you're doing. And, things will work out eventually. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm going to clap because this is an awesome section. Thank you so much for
All right.
this. I learned a lot myself. The messages struck me. They are personal to me, not just everybody. Like I said, I'm on a journey of growth myself. I am not there yet. And I'm doing this recording for myself and hoping that people will also catch on it. So thank you very much. I'll see you
Yeah.
some other time.
See you soon.